Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Screening Room podcast. This is your host, Mike, joined by my co host, Devin.
What's up, everyone?
And today we're going to be doing a review of Superman 2025.
Yeah, so with Supergirl coming out this week, as you're watching this, it's already been out. We thought it would be good to revisit last year's Superman movie. I also, for extra measure, I watched Man of Steel this last week too, so I kind of have like two reference points to go off of. But that all said, we'll do our usual format: initial thoughts, some trivia, maybe some box office information, and then our overall thoughts. So, with that all said, I'll let Mike kick it off with his initial thoughts on the film.
Well, for me, I really enjoyed the film. For me, what I really appreciated was that it felt different in the sense that a lot of comic book movies have been lately. This felt like a movie that was like opening up a comic book page, and I really appreciated that. I liked that it embraced more of the more hokey elements of Superman, which we haven't seen in a while. So I really appreciated that. I liked that they tried to do the Superman movie of the next generation to be like the old one, like with Christopher Reeve. Obviously, like that influenced the score they had in this. They that influenced the suit that Superman wears this time around, and I really appreciated that because I grew up with the Christopher Reeve movies. Those are really good. I grew up with Man of Steel 2 and Henry Cavill as Superman. I've really enjoyed those two. So for me, this feels like a nice mix between the two of having like your classic Superman with a modern twist. So I really appreciated that. I thought that Nicholas Hoult did a fantastic job as his Lex Luthor. One of, if not my favorite versions of Lex Luthor. He was great. I liked the inclusion of like a proto Justice League. I thought that was a fun thing to see in this like very early stage of the new DC universe. That was a fun thing to look at. And overall, I just thought this was a great movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think my main thing, I think the main thing that works in this movie's favor is that it's the most like comic book accurate portrayal of Superman that we've seen, for better or worse. But it's undoubtedly like the most accurate. And I know with when it comes to the comics, there are a bunch of like different iterations, right? So you could technically argue that any film version of Superman is comic book accurate, but I would say this is more accurate to like just general comic book Superman, you know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
will say on a production level, it looks terrible. It looks god, the cinematography is terrible. The CGI is not great.
It's left to
There's
be desired, yeah.
there
I will
is
say I did
no
like
reason
the
that the
practical effects were not as bad. I liked the practical look of Metamorpho, but the CGI, yeah, it's not as good.
like there's no I don't know if this is more a compliment towards Man of Steel or diss towards this movie or both, but there's no reason that the movie from 2013 should look better, both in terms of its cinematography and VFX, than the 2025 movie made by the same studio. There is literally no excuse for that. So I don't know, but like on a story level, like it is good. Obviously, like beyond just being a Superman movie, it's also got the weight of being the first like real project within this new DCU, so it's got, a lot of weight on its shoulder. So, I think they did play it a little bit safe in that regard. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but they're definitely like going for something that, is a little I see the term hope core kind of thrown around.
Yeah, yeah.
And like of all the superheroes to kind of be a hope core movie, I mean, Superman's probably the best one that I can think
Oh
of
yeah,
anyway.
easily.
Um,
Oh yeah.
so I mean, I think that's a safe choice. But that's the thing. I feel like the movie's just a little bit like too safe. You know what I mean? Like I
And
don't
I
know. I
understand that,
struggle
yeah.
with it, like, cause I do genuinely really like it. I saw it 3 times in theaters. I saw it twice in IMAX,
I saw it about
including
that too.
an early screening, and then just once in standard. Um, I do genuinely really like it, and now I own the 4K Blu-ray. Um, and I've seen like all the bonus features. Like I can't stress enough. I do like the movie. I just have some production level issues with it, and you could argue back and forth about whether the story was like too safe or not, but in
Yeah.
general I would say it's definitely a good movie, and I think it's a great kind of kickoff to this new DCU. So that's kind of my two
Yeah.
cents.
Yeah, I agree. For me, this kind of felt like more of like a getting back to form kind of a thing, at least with like in terms of like classic Superman. I liked the fact that the story was like you said, it did feel a little similar to previous ones, but it did a little bit of change too. The twist that Superman's parents weren't these like happy-go-lucky Kryptonian like scientists like you would expect, or like the Marlon Brando version where he sent Superman to protect Earth from everyone, but he was sent initially as a conqueror, kind of like, I don't want to say like similar to, but in a way that kind of reminded me of like Invincible, with like the twist with the Viltrumites there. So I thought that was kind of an interesting play on the Superman mythology,
Even kind of
and it
similar to
kind of
like
makes,
Zod, even like the same kind of idea.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And it kind of makes Clark have to examine if he's more like Clark Kent or if he's supposed to be Kal-El. And that Superman is kind of the in between of both of those. And I liked at the end that he ended up choosing Clark overall, and to still wear the symbol of the House of El, but shaping it in a new meaning. And I thought that was really like cool to see that go throughout, and that it's nice to see like a superhero, which I feel like I haven't seen in a little while at this point, be a superhero just to be a superhero. Like there's no tragic backstory inherently like motivating it, like Spider-Man
His whole
with
race
Uncle
died,
Ben's
dude.
death.
His whole race died. What do you mean there's no tragic backstory? His whole
What I
planet
mean
died.
is Superman wasn't
He had to like he
Superman's
learned that his
not doing
parents
it
are
out
like
of like,
assholes.
oh, I know. I'm saying like in regards that Superman's not doing it out of responsibility or vengeance or justice. He's doing it because it's right. And I think that's something that we haven't seen in a while. And I appreciate that that's the angle they're going for.
I don't know. I mean,
That he,
yeah, go on.
no, 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 go on.
I was just gonna say, like, I mean, I don't remember the exact way like the monologue was worded, but I feel like it happened during the scene where Clark and Lois were like in the apartment, and there was the giant like
Yeah.
imp outside the window doing like the weird color show
Yeah.
thing. Um,
Yeah. The glowing eyeball.
yeah. Didn't he say something about how like he, because this was like just after the whole message got revealed, and he was like talking
Yeah.
about the part that like he knew of before, where his parents were like, oh, like they sounded, not like terrible people.
Yeah.
And I feel like he said
Before the other half.
yeah, and I feel like he said something to the effect of how like, I mean, I know this is a Spider-Man quote, but like basically with great power comes great responsibility. Like basically, because he has these powers, I don't know, I kind of got the gist that like he did kind of feel responsible because for, like helping humanity because he, you know, is a super powered individual. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, obviously, like part
Yeah.
of it's he's doing it just, you know, to be good. But I feel like
Yeah.
it's kind of a mix of the two. I don't know. That's kind of my read
Yeah.
on it.
I'll give you that. Yeah. But for me, since you brought that scene up, what I really liked about it was at the very end too, when he decides he has to go save Crypto. It's, I believe the line was, you know, he's still just a dog and not a very good one, but I still have to go save him. And it's just, it shows that he's willing to put his own personal grievances aside, even though like throughout the film he's kind of hesitant on crypto, that he'll still do it just even if it's like an animal, like when he saved the squirrel earlier in the movie, where it's just to do it and to go out there and to just be a positive influence for the superhero community, which is what I think the Justice Gang was there for. They were kind of like the corporate backed superheroes. And you could kind of see that after like the Titan was like the Godzilla-esque monster was destroyed, how the other ones showed up and they were expecting the paparazzi and pictures, and then all the kids went to Superman because of that inherent like again, not a diss at all on the other superhero movies we've had, but just that inherent like simplicity of Superman, of the whole truth, justice, and better tomorrow American way, and all that jazz of just being there to be there. And that's something I thought was really cool to see. And that's why I think that it's interesting we have Lex Luthor, who's the opposite of Superman, and that's why he doesn't like him. Because Superman could have been a conqueror. He could have been this like absolute larger than life like celebrity who's like like Homelander, but he chooses not to be, even though he absolutely could be.
Right.
And I think that's what makes Superman interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that that line, I don't remember exactly how it goes, but like the, oh, he's just a dog, yeah, and he's not even a very good one, but he's probably alone and scared, or however it goes. I think that's probably
Yeah.
like the best like individual line in the whole movie. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I can think of that like could counter it is that monologue he has
The
at the
speech at
end.
the end, yeah.
Oh, that's kind
I
of,
like that speech too.
yeah, it's just
I
kind of
mean, the
ruined by
cinematography,
yeah.
like you were saying,
It's
was
it
not
that
great.
ruined it, but
But
it
the
ruined an
message was
otherwise
nice.
great message.
An absolutely great scene, but with terrible lighting.
I'm as human as anyone.
Is anyone?
Flashbang.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's
Uh,
like
but
unforgivable. But like, I
but
genuinely don't know what
yeah,
they were thinking. But it's awful.
yeah.
Oh,
But
but
that also is counteracted by Lex Luthor's mini monologue beforehand too, where he can't stand the sight of Superman because of how different he is and how I think like Lex Luthor's jealous of the power he could have if he had Superman's powers, which and that he views Superman as a threat because he automatically has this negative viewpoint on the world that if someone had those powers, they would destroy everything because that's what would happen in his mind because that's what he would do with the whole portal idea of using that just to get Superman back at the end or to make a literal clone of
I
Superman
was
and make
just
him
about to
evil.
say, like, he literally made a
He
clone of
literally
him.
made
Yeah,
evil Superman.
yeah,
So I think that's what makes Lex Luthor interesting
right.
is that he could be a force for good, but he chooses not to. And he builds up the power set that Superman has, who inherently has all these incredible, like amazing powers, but chooses to just be that guy to save a cat in like in a tree or a squirrel from like a monster or something. And that's what he
Right.
chooses to do with those powers and to help everyone out, no matter how small or like meaningless it might be in the grand scheme that he's willing to do it. And I think that's what makes it interesting. And that was something I appreciated. Where, as before, I felt like, and there obviously was the whole I have to save the whole universe or the whole world thing in this one. But I felt this one had smaller, more impactful scales versus just, okay, I have to stop the world from blowing up,
I mean,
which I
that
think,
is kind of what happened at the end, though. I mean, the world was literally gonna implode.
yeah, that's what I was saying too. But like earlier on in the movie, where it's, I have to save the civilians, I have to go back and save the people trapped in the pocket dimension at the end when they go do that.
Right.
That was something I thought was nice as like a nice touch. And I liked the side characters overall for this too. I thought Mr. Terrific was, and no like pun fully intended, terrific. I liked Guy Gardner as like the sassy kind of like rough Green Lantern.
Yeah, he was
I
the
thought that
best.
was fun to see.
Yeah, he was the
He was
best
great.
non-Superman character in that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy Olsen was funny. I actually liked Rachel Brosnahan's Lois Lane. I thought she was pretty good. I liked all the background people too. In the Daily Planet, I thought they were just fun little additions to see. So I think that really helped not build just the core cast of the movie, but it also helped build the supporting cast and the world overall, even if it was just from Metropolis's perspective. So
Yeah,
I think that's what kind of gives this movie another nudge for me on making it such a good movie.
I don't know. I would have liked to see more of the people in the Daily Planet. Like, I feel like we barely got to
Yeah,
see Perry White or what's her name, Cat Grant. Uh,
yeah, Cat Grant.
yeah, Jimmy Olsen. He was fine. I don't know how much. Every time I see it, I like it less and less. Like the whole bit of him, like just being like
Oh
this
yeah,
Riz
yeah.
Master. I'm like,
This Riz Lord, yeah.
like it was funny the
Where it's
first
like, all right,
time,
it was
like,
funny.
but like as I watch it more and more, it kind of gets a little more like
I felt
tacky.
like if they, yeah, I felt like if they just like brought it up for one scene and then like had it just like at the end, that would have been funny.
Or you could still
Um,
have it be where what's her name, the
yeah,
girl with
Eve
Lex,
Tessmacher,
Eve.
yeah,
Yeah. If
yeah.
just she
Who's
was like obsessed with him for whatever reason, like okay, because like
yeah,
obviously that
that would be funny.
because that
Yeah,
has like plot relevance. So like okay, I could buy into that.
yeah,
But the fact that like he's walking through this like this like neighborhood and like all of these like these
yeah.
women are
It's a
like
bit much.
I mean, you could make the argument that like based on the setting that they're in, like they could be hookers, but like even still, it's like okay, like it's
It's like
like kind
the
of
joke's
pushing
not as
it.
funny anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. You're talking about yeah the alley scene. Yeah,
yeah,
that was
yeah.
pushing it. I was like, okay, all right.
I was like, all right,
But I also view this as a more like I don't how do I phrase it? Like a more cartoonish world where
right,
more like
right,
I don't want to say outlandish, but things are a little bit more exaggerated in this universe, at least for this movie.
right.
Um,
Yeah,
but
no,
I
that's fair.
definitely think that some of it could have been toned down. I think maybe a few things in the Hall of Justice, but otherwise, and I like the addition of the Hall of Justice. I thought that was kind of a cool thing to see. Again, it's all like in the early stages, just because they're obviously going to set up the Justice League.
Right, it's kind of like the
Um,
Stark Tower before it becomes Avengers Tower is kind of how I'm looking at
yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah, and that's what it is at the moment when they're still corporate owned.
right. But and I mean it'll
Um,
be cool. I mean they made a point of showing that it was like just like either just finished construction or it was like towards the end of it cuz like there was a shot where they still had like a crane outside
the
and they
crane
were
up there,
working
yeah,
on like the lettering outside. Um
yeah,
so I mean obviously it's going to be like the Hall of Justice eventually and the Justice League's going to be
yeah,
there. But
yeah,
that is if they can actually cast a Batman but I digress.
yeah.
Um, but
Or
like,
any other member of the
yeah,
Justice
literally
League.
any
But
other member,
we'll get there. We'll get
literally
there.
anyone else. But listen, I love Robert Pattinson Batman, but like, I I need to see like who the new guy is. Like, I don't
The
know.
new one is, yeah, yeah.
Like we can have two
Um,
Batmans at the same time. We had three Batmans at once at one point. And like, what year did Flash come out?
we had two Batman in one movie.
Yeah,
2023.
yeah. We
We had
had
two Batman in one
Pattinson.
movie.
Yeah, Keaton,
We had
Affleck.
three Spider-Men in one movie. I think
Yeah,
people can handle two Batmen.
yeah. I think we're
Um,
fine. And one is going to be
yeah,
a lot older than the other if they're still sticking to that
yeah.
original like plan. But
And my guess is the suits are going to be slightly different too.
oh, probably yeah. This one's probably going to be
Probably,
more
but
like comic booky, if I had to guess. But
yeah,
like
probably,
you'll
yeah.
probably get your long awaited blue suit.
Hell yeah. I want the Hush suit. That'd be great. I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but
actually, speaking of Gotham, they did kind of tease it in this movie. Now that I think about it, I
they did,
remember there
yeah.
was
It's
a
like just
street
across the
sign.
way. Yeah, there's a sign. Yep.
Yeah, so
I
like
think there
it
was a tease to
exists.
Central City too for the Flash. So it's everything's out there.
I
But
I
And
feel
see, that's fun. That's what makes this movie fun to rewatch. Is you can go back and pick out the little details, like, oh, I know that. That's from like that's Batman over there, or that's the city the Flash is in, or there's like a newspaper clipping of like something Superman did, and it's like, oh, that happened in another movie.
right.
Like another thing I noticed too, which I thought was fun, was they had Christopher Reeve's son, who's an actual news reporter, be one of the background news reporters. And I was like, oh, that's a cool little like nod and
Yeah.
homage to Christopher Reeve. So it's fun things like that too that help the rewatchability of this movie. And to address the um the thumbnail, do I think he's better than Cavill? I don't know. We've only had one movie, and I think
Well,
that
technically two
this is a
now.
different take on Superman. Technically two, but like I'm not counting that because he was in it for like 10 minutes. But I don't know if better is the right word. I think different is a better way to describe it.
I
For
was
me,
gonna
I
say,
view
like, they're
Cavill as
playing
kind
the
of like an
same
alternate
character.
take on Superman. Yeah.
Yeah, like the same character, but
He's like
very
an
different
alternate one.
takes. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think Cavill is more probably aligned with like
A
maybe the
realistic
Injustice version a
version,
little bit, like a more grounded one, or like
which isn't
whereas
surprising at
like
all when you
obvious,
factor in who made it. But
yeah.
whereas this is
And then we
obviously a
have
more
this one,
comic booky. Yeah.
like, yeah. And we have like, where we have David Cornsweet now, who's like you said, is more comic booky. Same with Christopher Reeve. They kind of fall in the same vein there. Then you have the somewhat like stylized version that Brandon Routh was when he was Superman for a little while. So you have all those different takes out there. And I think that in terms of his acting, I thought he was a great Superman. I really liked him in this. He's one of my favorite Supermen at the moment. I think he is great in the role. He's got the look down. He's got that like aloofness that you need for Superman, in the way that like you would kind of be a little naive if you like aren't used to being in like the Justice Gang, which with all their media training, versus just a guy who's just an average guy who happens to have superpowers. And I thought that was like one of the things I really enjoyed about his performance overall.
Right. Well, and I do like the kind of parallels that he has to the Justice Gang, like especially I think Guy Gardner in particular. Like
Oh
you
yeah,
can tell,
absolutely.
like, I mean, not I'm not even just talking. I mean, like, because obviously Guy is an asshole, but I'm even just saying from the perspective of the Justice Gang being like this, like, like PR trained. They have
Yeah,
like, well, what's the
like
word I'm thinking of? Like they have like incentives to
like
like put on
yeah,
portray themselves a certain way for
yeah,
financial
like
backing
they're
or whatever. Whereas
yeah.
Superman, like
Like
he's
they're
just
literally wearing like the company logo on their chest. Like
or,
it's in the center of all their suits. It's straight up just like I think it's Lord Tech, I think was the
yeah,
company.
Lord Tech, that sounds right.
But they're straight up just wearing like the equivalent of like the Apple logo on their chest.
Like the way I look at it is it's like a giant corporation versus like a non-profit who are
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
kind of that's the best analogy I can think of. But I guess my point
Yeah,
is like on the performance side of it, like it's kind of cool to see those two sides of it like kind of rifting off of each other. Um,
yeah,
I don't know. I just think that's interesting. But as for like the
yeah,
Superman ranking thing, I agree. It's like they're all like, yeah, they're playing the same character by name, and all the Superman
yeah,
actors have like some like if you were to picture it like a Venn diagram, like they have some stuff
yeah,
in the middle, but like like the very basic stuff, like oh yeah, they have the blue suit, the cape, whatever. They have
yeah,
XXX personality, but then there's so much other stuff that's on like each of their individual like circles on the left and the right. Um
yeah.
so I don't
And
know. And like you said, we've only had like one real look at Hornsweat, whereas
yeah,
like Cavill, we've had 3 movies with him. Brandon Routh, we've only
yeah,
had the one, and then Christopher Reeve, we had 4. Although Brandon
yeah.
Routh, he
And then
was in
even
some
with
of the CW stuff, so I guess he had a little
he was
bit
in
more.
yeah, he was.
I didn't watch
Yeah,
any of
but
that,
I
but
think
yeah.
yeah, and on top of that too, like with Cavill too, like he had a massive like 4 hour cut in the Zack Snyder Justice League when that came out a couple of years ago.
Yeah, but
He was
half of
in
that was
that.
spent trying to bring him back from the dead, so he was only really in a little bit of it.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
But
But he still had. But we've had. I wish we got more.
right.
But we have a lot of his stuff, and I thought it was a great alternate take on Superman. It was a wonderful performance. And for me, like it's like I said, it's like fun to see a more like traditional take on Superman, but I think it's also great that we got this other version of Superman too. Like for me, it's like trying to compare like Robert Pattinson to Adam West, where they're
Right.
two very different Batmen, but they're both perfect in the tone that they're made for.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
I mean, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It's like you can't an apple is not an orange, but they're both
yeah,
fruit. You know what I mean?
fruits. Yeah,
Like it's kind
exactly.
of I don't know, but I would say like even at like as a movie in general, I would still lean more towards Man of Steel. I personally like the more grounded nature of it. I think again, just from like a production standpoint, it blows Superman out of the water. Which is just crazy considering it came out 12 years prior by the same studio. I my thing is I think it was made during the era when like the studios were still hadn't quite figured out how to cheat with CGI yet.
Yeah,
And
and what
then
another thing that kind of like didn't help the Superman is this was still very fresh after the whole regime change at Warner Brothers, so that was still kind of there when they were like writing and then making the movie, so that was also an issue, which wasn't the case when obviously like when Man of Steel was made. And then, like you said, they were able to take a little bit more time to put into all the special effects and whatnot for that. Um,
well, even
but
just on a
overall, I
cinematography
still,
level, like
yeah,
they shot Man of Steel on film. It was shot on 35 millimeter, which I think just looks better. And they just, to be frank, just had a better cinematographer. I mean, I'm sorry, but you don't get flashbanged once in that movie. Whereas, and my gripes with the cinematography in Superman go beyond the flashbanging. There are other like they use these like lenses that like really kind of distorts. Like you'll notice it right in the beginning of the movie when like Superman's leaving the Fortress of Solitude after
oh
like
yeah,
Crypto's like
I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
Yep,
and then his foot looks like a clown
yeah,
shoe. All of a sudden, I'm like, what the
yep,
hell are we doing?
yeah. That was not a good choice.
Like, it's not a
Yeah,
like those lenses are fine depending on what you're trying to photograph, but when your subject is on the right of the frame, why are we using that? It doesn't make sense. Or
yeah.
like
There were some interesting choices.
another really bad
But
one
like
was
I
like
said,
when Hawk Girl was like flying through that hallway after like the
oh yeah, I
president
know
of
what you're talking
Moravia,
about.
and they
Yep,
stuck the weird. They
yeah,
tried to make a GoPro out of like that same weird warp. I don't know the
yeah.
exact lens name off the top of my head, but like that like distorts. It looks so bad. Like what are we doing?
I think if it was honestly just like a wide one shot, it would have been fine. Or a POV shot. They just kept it the POV shot. It probably would have been fine.
Right.
It was just an odd placement for the angle. But another thing, I'm just gonna add one more thing on this too, and
Yeah.
then I'll be ready. But I liked, like I said, I liked the practical effect. I liked that they had physical Superman robots. That was fun to see. I thought the actors they had for that, particularly Alan Tudyk, did a great job as Superman robots.
I was gonna say, was it a
That was
mix
a
of
fun thing to
mocap
see,
and like animatronics? Because
and practical. Yeah,
I know the guy who played Gary was in a mocap because I've seen like the BTS
he was.
clips.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But then they also had the physical robots there too, in between, which was awesome.
right.
So that was something I really enjoyed seeing. Like I said, I actually liked the makeup and some of the practical stuff for Metamorpho. I thought that was kind of neat to see.
Yeah.
Um, but it's that stuff I really enjoyed. Overall, I thought some of the side villains weren't as interesting. The engineer, I wish had a little bit more fleshed out of a backstory.
I was gonna say I never really got a
And then
great sense of like what her motivation was. Like she just had like
I
one
think she was
line
just working
about
for Lex Luthor.
yeah, like
How she was in like experimental procedure for LexCorp. And then
right.
Ultraman I liked, but he didn't do much. I thought that was a fun little reveal at the end, though. After his mask gets damaged and he takes it off, so that was fun.
I
But
remember when I was
overall,
watching it for the first
obviously,
time, I
yeah,
thought it should have been Cavill under the mask. I thought that would have been really funny.
that would have been
That would
awesome.
have been
Oh
great.
my
I was
god, that would have
like,
been great.
when he was pulling off the mask, I was like, it's gonna be Cavill. It's gonna be Cavill. Nope.
That would be awesome.
But missed
Oh
opportunity.
man.
But although to be
Hey,
fair, Gunn did say
maybe he'll be Zod.
I was gonna say Gunn did say that he
I
would
would
be
love to
open
see
to
him be Zod.
yeah. Which I mean, I'm sure
I
I
would
wouldn't
love
be shocked
that.
if we'll get. I mean, I know Brainiac's gonna
Yeah,
be
well,
the main big bad of this next one, but or Man of
yeah.
Tomorrow.
But I feel like you can't not mention Zod in the future, though.
Yeah, maybe he'll be like the
You got to bring him up.
trilogy capper. I don't know.
Yeah,
Although that'll
yeah,
be interesting with Supergirl around too. I don't know. That'll be interesting, like a 2v1,
yeah.
unless he has his
Well,
like
unless Zod's
minions,
got the two other Kryptonians, so maybe
right?
it's a 2v3,
Something. Yeah, that'll be
something
interesting.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although there's Crypto, so it's 3v3 technically.
Yeah.
Which I was surprised by how active Crypto was in this movie. When I first watched it, and I honestly was. I know I'm going to get some hate for this. I thought it was a bit much to include Crypto in the first one, but I liked it. I thought that was a fun little character to have along for the ride, and I thought that was kind of interesting to have early on like that. And it sets up like Supergirl coming in next for her movie, and it also kind of added another like element to show Superman's personality, i.e. the dog speech at the end or the Coco speech. But like I said, that was something that I thought was just another fun thing that made it feel distinct from other versions of Superman.
Yeah, I remember. I remember like even back to when like we knew very little about the movie, but there were like set leaks when they were like filming out in I forget which state it was in, but they were filming out somewhere in public, and
Yeah.
there were paparazzi pictures, and there were like pictures of Mr. Terrific like throwing stuff at something invisible, and it was clear that it was going to be Crypto, and this was long before
Yeah.
Crypto was officially announced. And even to the point when he was
Yeah.
officially announced, I was like, oh, please I was like, that's gonna look so stupid, please don't do that. But I got
Yeah.
to admit, like I actually kind of
It
I
grew
didn't
on
mind
me.
it, and he actually
Yeah.
looks pretty decent
Yeah.
for a CGI
Like a
dog,
CGI thing. And I liked too that James Gunn said that it was based on his actual dog, which I thought was a fun little thing to include.
right?
That they had like his dog as the literal reference.
Oh,
So that kind of made it feel like adding that little personal touch to it kind of helped sell the idea of Crypto for me.
yeah, no, that's fair. Well, actually, speaking of, it just occurred to me we never actually got into the trivia section. Did you want to get into
Oh,
that?
yeah, I have. Yep, I'm all set whenever you are.
Okay, yeah. Let's kick it off.
Okay, cool. But before I get into that, I also got the budget and the box office for the film. The production budget of this movie was about $225 million, and it ended up grossing just a little over 600 million worldwide. But the trivia I managed to find was that this was also, in terms of like the costuming, like I mentioned earlier, this was the first Superman movie since A Quest for Peace, which had the yellow S symbol on the back of the cape, which I thought that was kind of a fun thing to point out, that it was more or less a back to form for
Is
classic
that not on
Superman.
the Brandon Ralph one? I guess not. I've only
No, it
seen
was
that movie
not.
once. Okay.
Yeah, it's not bad, but another thing too, speaking of classic Superman, Nicholas Hoult said that he took inspiration for his version of Lex Luthor from both Gene Hackman and Michael Rosenbaum's versions. I think Gene Hackman's my second favorite Luther after him, so that was a fun thing to find out.
Yeah, he's
And
just iconic.
regarding, yeah, and speaking of our main characters, both David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan, the folks who played both Clark Kent / Superman and Lois Lane, were both paid literally only like $750,000 for their roles. But Nicholas Hoult got, I believe it was $2 million for playing Lex Luthor.
Oh, I thought it was 3
So
mil.
just crazy.
Either way, like he
I
made
heard
more than double.
Yeah, still. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, obviously Nicholas Hoult is like a way more established actor, so like it makes sense.
Yeah.
And you know they like I don't know what the details of that contract that Cornsweet signed, but I'm sure there's like they like locked him in.
I'm sure there's a pay increase later on.
I mean,
yeah.
he'll definitely be able to like bargain for it once whatever contract he's under expires, but I'm sure they have him locked for like a low ball for a little
couple
bit.
movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I say that I'd love a $750,000 check, but I'm just saying,
Superman,
like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
I keep saying, like, the thing I'm most envious about, like, people who get to play any superhero isn't even. I mean, obviously, like, getting to play superhero, regardless of who it is, would be cool. But I'm jealous of them literally getting paid to have a professional trainer make them look like buff. Like I'm like I would.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's unironically the part I'm most jealous of. Like it reminds me of when what's his name? The guy who plays Soldier Boy in The Boys. Like he was.
Oh, Jensen Ackles. Yeah.
Yeah, like he they offered to like put him in
like a muscle
suit, and he's like, no, just give me a trainer. I'm like, that's the most real thing I've ever heard. Like I would do the same thing.
Yeah,
because like you're telling me you're gonna pay me to be healthier. Like where do I sign?
Absolutely. Right.
But anyway, that's a weird tangent. But
yeah, but that's all I got for today.
All right, well, I say we get into our kind of final verdict here. I mean, at least for me, I don't think there's a whole lot to say that I haven't said already. I think I think it's probably the most accurate to like the generalized stereotypical comic book Superman. Again, like I said, you know, there are whole loads of different versions of Superman who are all like different within the comics. So I always find it like a little annoying when people are like, oh, this is more comic accurate. I'm like, okay, well, like you had to be more specific, you know what I mean? But like
to what? Yeah, to what?
But like this is probably the most accurate to like the widest
traditional Superman.
Yeah, like that's a good way of putting it. And you know, we haven't really seen a Superman like that since 70s, 80s. So that's kind of refreshing, and this time, you know, with a modern lens, kind of seeing it, I mean, literally and figuratively, like, done nowadays. Because, I mean, I love the Christopher Reeve movies, but, I mean, let's be honest, there's some, they don't hold up at all.
Yeah, they had some technical limitations in certain areas.
I mean, I still love those movies.
The effects weren't. Oh, they're 10 out of 10s. The first two are like 10 out of 10s for me.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
No, me too. But, you know, they were held
it's
back.
nice seeing, yeah, just because they were just in the 70s and they didn't have all this technology that we do now.
Well, I remember when we went to go see Superman 78 in the theater back in January. I never know. I mean, I knew that this was the case, but it never really like stood out to me until like I saw it on that giant screen.
Like on a giant screen,
when like the waterfall, like this is before he reverses time. When like the water is like crashing through and like the boulders
over, like,
are falling, Dam. And it's like obvious that it's just like some miniature on like a table.
Oh yeah! Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like where you always knew that's how they did it, but like you know, if you're watching on like depending on how big your TV is, it's not that obvious. But when you're watching it on like a theater screen, I was like, okay,
like Yeah, and then like you see the Hoover Dams like all of a sudden like a foot tall, and it's like okay,
Yeah. It's
but
like, I mean, there is some
um,
charm to that too. Like,
oh, it's great,
I
it's
don't
awesome, but it's
like,
fun to see a version of it that has the modern tech nowadays too.
right. Even if it's not like as polished as it could be, it's still, yeah, it's interesting seeing that
It's
type
still
of
there,
iteration just with like, an improvement on,
more updated stuff. Yeah,
yeah. So with that all said, like, I don't know, my verdict is kind of wishy-washy, but right now, it's the kind of thing where you ask me one day, I'll tell you something. You ask me the other day, I'll tell you something else. But I'm leaning like a 4.5 out of 5. Um, I really do enjoy it. And I think my rating could go up. I hope it doesn't go down, but it could go down. Depending on how the future of the DCU turns out.
yeah,
But yeah, I think it's a good time. And yeah, that's about all I got. You want to give your final
yeah.
verdict?
Yeah, absolutely. Just along the same lines that you had said earlier, this is still like a great time. This is an awesome movie to go see. This is a movie that I think is for someone who's like a lifelong Superman fan, or this is your first intro to Superman. If this is something you wanted to try out, I think it's good for everyone. I think that overall, I really, really enjoy this movie. I think it's honestly probably maybe top yeah, maybe top 3 or 5 Superman movies for me. I'm gonna again, it's kind of the same thing along the lines of what you were
You
saying,
mean it's
depending on the
not
day.
worse than Quest for Peace?
Oh, maybe comment down below if you want us to do Quest for Peace.
I have it on
Oh,
4K
that's a rough
Blu-ray.
one.
I
That's a
have the
rough one.
Christopher Reeve 4K
Um,
box set.
oh, that's rough. Um, but for me, I'm giving this one. I'm giving it a 5, but I can go down to a 4.5. Like that's also a very reasonable grade for this one.
I was gonna say, like, depending on the day, like, I could see the argument for a 5, and I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, for
Yeah.
reference, like, I gave Man of Steel and Superman 78 a 5. I forget what I landed on Superman 2, especially because, like, they're the two versions. There's, like, the theatrical,
The
and then
Donner
there's the
cut, and then
Donner cut.
yeah,
And
and
it's
then
like you have to
yeah,
judge the Donner cut on a like cuz differently because they're using like test footage because it was made in 2006 but it was using footage from the
yeah,
70s, like
and then it had other circumstances go through on making that. Like I know the cinematographer passed away halfway through the shoot,
oh,
which
I
kind
didn't
of
know that.
makes the movie a
Really?
mixed quality. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why it looks kind of different towards the second half of the movie.
Oh, I didn't know that. I
Um,
didn't know that. That's interesting.
yeah, yeah, they were shooting them both back to back. But anyway, yeah. So for me, I'm gonna give this one a 5.
All right. Well,
But I could also see this being like a 4.5. So for argument's sake, I'm willing to go down to 4.5.
yeah, that's fair enough. So in that case, we'll give Superman 2025 a 4.5 out of 5 overall review. Um, like I said, it's a really good kickoff to the DCU. I think what you said is actually really good. It's a very good entry, not even just Superman movie, but superhero movie, I'd say. I mean, it helps that it's
Yeah,
like the first thing in this universe, but also like I think it's accessible. Like you could show this to pretty
yeah,
much anyone of any age, and they'll probably get something out of it. It's
hmm,
not like Man of Steel where you probably have to be in like your mid-teens onwards, I'd say, to probably
yeah,
really enjoy it. This you could show to like an 8-year-old and they'd enjoy it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
And you don't have to watch like 30 movies to understand it too.
right, yeah. Um, so yeah. With that all said, did you have anything else you wanted to add before I kind of wrapped it up here?
I'm all set.
All right. Well, I'm going to leave a little teaser here for our next episode.
Vector! That's me, because I'm committing crimes with both direction and magnitude. Oh, yeah!
And that is it for our Superman review. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. We have new podcast episodes that drop every Friday, along with other various movie reviews, trailer videos, all sorts of other stuff you can find here. So definitely go make sure to check that out. With that all said, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.